So a lot of people probably don't know that one of the ways that I exploded my business very quickly was doing fundraisers, and they're not very fun, but it worked. So I would go around to schools and I would essentially say, if you'll let me take these pictures, I will give you 20% back. And I had been in the school system, and so I knew that this was a way to get my foot in the door. So I would do it for like cheerleaders and basketball players and whatever. And I was no good. But the truth was that those schools, they didn't need to know that I was good. They liked that cash back. They liked the idea of a very simple fundraiser that I could take care of. And one of the things that literally put me out of business at first was the organization. So my father and I actually ran First Impressions Photography, and that's where we did all of these fundraisers. And when you do a fundraiser, when you work with a school, when you work with like a lot of kids at once, there's so much organization that needs to be done that I knew nothing about. And so anyway, we owned First Impressions Photography, and 2 years later we closed. It was stressful. It wasn't enjoyable. And anyway, we learned a lot from it. And so I don't think that Kelly Carrico Photography would have been successful had that worked. I don't know that we would ever be here having this conversation right now. So I wanted to show you guys, in case you ever got this idea, that you wanted to do something like that. Number one, it's hard. It's harder than doing mini sessions. It's harder than doing, for me, a wedding. It's harder than doing these other things. So I just wanted to show you my system because it's not that exciting, but it works. So when you do anything like that, you want to make sure that you have a form with your students' information, all of their information, email, phone number, address, all of the things. If you're doing a team, make sure that you have their number. So like their basketball jersey number, whatever. You need to be very clear about who they make the checks payable to and when it is due. I highly recommend that you only give them 1 or 2 options to pick from. Don't make your life harder. If you are doing prints, then that makes it a lot worse, but there's a way to do that too. But I highly recommend, if you choose to do something like this, only do digital so that all of your delivery is through email, and they know that. So I have a list of all of the kids. I don't do this anymore. I did it because Gracie asked me to, her basketball team. So I have a list of all the kids that ordered, and as I loaded them, each child has to have their own folder. Why? You cannot upload a whole girls basketball team and send it to all the parents due to privacy issues. So you might have a kid who is adopted and they absolutely cannot be shared to other parents. You might have parents who have like separation issues. You might have family things. You might have a parent who just doesn't want another parent to own their kids' pictures. And so when I see people making the mistake of sending out mass galleries, that is against all business recommendations. So each kid has their own folder. Each kid has their own gallery. I load them in. They're titled with their name and the school to keep it organized. And so I check them off whenever they are loaded. You want to load them all at one time. Don't go back and forth between tasks because that will slow you down. Then I verify the kid's name and the email. And so I go through and I take the galleries that I've loaded, and then I'm going to send an email with only that child's pictures to that parent. And then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead. I highlight their name on the paper to know that I did it. And then I also go back and I highlight it on my list. So I know gallery, check, sent, check, everything's done. And this is just a system that works for me. I'm sure that there are digital ways to do it, but the truth is, if you are working with a school, they will always give you a paper copy. They will always have paper copies. And anyway, maybe this will help somebody. So hope it helps. Have a good day.